Hi, and welcome to English-Fabule. Are you learning English? Great. Let's learn English with a very interesting story. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. Let's get started.
Chapter 1. A Surprising Visitor. People who visited Sherlock Holmes at Baker Street often acted in strange ways. Some cried, some talked without stopping, and some sat in complete silence. But no visitor was more surprising than Dr. Thornycroft Huxtable. He was a tall, well-dressed man who looked very important. He entered the room, walked to a big chair, and suddenly fell into it. He closed his eyes and looked very pale and sick. I am a doctor, so I ran to get him some water and my medical bag. I checked him carefully. "What's wrong with him, Watson?" asked Holmes. "I think he's okay," I said. "He is just really tired and probably hungry." Holmes checked the man's pockets and found a train ticket from Mackleton, a town in the north of England. "Mackleton is a long way from here," said Holmes. "It's not yet noon, so he must have left his home before 5 o'clock this morning." After a few minutes, the man started to move and opened his eyes. He quickly stood up, his face now red with embarrassment. "Mr. Holmes, I'm so sorry. I was in such a hurry that I forgot to eat or drink this morning. That's why I felt sick." "When you feel better," I started to say. "I'm better now, thank you," our visitor said, "and I really need to speak with Mr. Holmes. Please, Mr. Holmes, you must come back to Mackleton with me on the next train." "I'm sorry, but that is not possible," said Holmes. "I am busy with 2 important cases right now. I cannot leave London." "Important cases?" the man cried. "This case is extremely important, too. You must know about the kidnapping of the Duke of Holderness's son 3 days ago." "What? The son of the government minister?" "Yes, that's him. So you didn't know. It's true, the story is not in the newspapers yet. But I thought Sherlock Holmes always heard the news before everyone else." Holmes took one of his books and began to read the page about the Duke of Holderness. "Holderness, 6th Duke. He has 1 child, Lord Arthur Saltire. He is a government minister." "Well, well," said Holmes, "he is one of the most important men in the country." "One of the most important and one of the richest," said Dr. Huxtable. "I know that you don't work for money, Mr. Holmes, but I must tell you this. The Duke is offering a reward of £5,000 for news about his son. He is also offering another £1,000 for the name of the person who kidnapped him." "That," said Holmes, "is a very interesting offer." He looked at me. "Watson, I believe we will go with Dr. Huxtable to the north of England this afternoon." Holmes then turned to Dr. Huxtable. "Now, sir, please tell me everything. What happened? When and how did it happen? And why did you wait 3 days to ask for my help?" Our visitor drank some water and started his story. Chapter 2. Dr. Huxtable's Story. "My school, the Priory School near Mackleton, is the best school for young boys in England," began Dr. Huxtable. "3 weeks ago, Mr. James Wilder, the Duke of Holderness's secretary, visited me. He told me the Duke wanted to send his son, 10-year-old Lord Saltire, to my school." On May 1st, young Lord Saltire arrived. He is a nice boy and quickly started to enjoy school life. His home life was not very happy. As you may know, the Duke's wife, the Duchess, now lives in the south of France. She left the Duke about 3 months ago. The boy loved his mother and was very sad when she left. That is why the Duke sent him to my school. After 2 weeks with us, he was much happier. Then, on the night of May 13th, he disappeared. To get to his bedroom, you have to pass through a larger room where 2 older boys sleep. One of these boys is a light sleeper, but he heard nothing that night. So we know Arthur did not leave through that room. His window was open, and there is a plant called ivy growing all over the wall. It is easy to climb down the ivy to the ground. We believe he escaped that way. We think he was wearing his school clothes, a short black coat and dark blue trousers. We searched his room carefully, but we didn't find anything unusual. When I heard the news at 7 o'clock on Tuesday morning, I gathered everyone in the main schoolroom. Then we discovered more bad news. Heidegger, the German teacher, was also missing. His room is near Arthur's. Heidegger also climbed down the ivy. We found his footprints on the ground below his window. We know he was only wearing his coat, trousers and shoes because his shirt and socks were on the floor in his room. He also took his bicycle. Heidegger started working at the school a year ago. He is a good teacher, but the boys do not like him because he is not very friendly. So, Mr. Holmes, 2 people are missing. It is now Thursday, and we still have no news. Holmes took out a small notebook and started writing. The boy did not go home, I suppose, he asked. No, of course not. We contacted Holderness Hall immediately, said Dr. Huxtable. The Duke is terrified for his son, and I feel like the unhappiest man in England. Mr. Holmes, please help me. You have made my job very difficult, Holmes said. How can I find marks on the ground after 3 days? Why didn't you come to me immediately? Because of the Duke, Dr. Huxtable explained. He does not want people talking about his family problems. And what are the police doing? Well, they heard about a boy and a young man at the train station on Tuesday morning. They searched for them and found them last night in Liverpool. But it was just a man and his son visiting a friend. We wasted 3 days because of that mistake. Last night I couldn't sleep, so I took the first train to London this morning. Dr. Huxtable, I have a few more questions, said Holmes. Did the boy study German? No. So he did not know the German teacher well? He probably never even spoke to him, said Dr. Huxtable. Said Holmes. Does the boy have a bicycle? No. Was any other bicycle missing? No. So, did the German teacher ride away on his bicycle with the boy on his back? I doubt it. But what happened to the bicycle? Now, did the boy have any visitors the day before he disappeared? No. Did he receive any letters? Yes, 1 letter from his father. Do you open the boy's letters, Dr. Huxtable? No. Then how do you know the letter was from his father? I recognize the Duke's handwriting. Also, the Duke told me he wrote to his son. Did the boy receive any letters from France? No, I never saw any. "Do you understand what I'm asking, Dr. Huxtable?" Holmes said. "Did someone take the boy, or did he leave by himself, maybe because he received a letter from France?" "I don't know," said Dr. Huxtable. "I believe he only got letters from his father." "Were the father and son close?" "The Duke is not a very warm person, Mr. Holmes. He's not a bad father, but he is a busy government minister." "So the boy felt closer to his mother?" "Yes." "Did he tell you that?" "No." "Did the Duke tell you?" "Oh, no. The Duke never discusses such things." "Then how do you know?" "Mr. James Wilder, the Duke's secretary, told me." "I see," said Holmes. "And the Duke's last letter, where is it now?" "The boy must have taken it with him," said Dr. Huxtable. "It's not in his room. Mr. Holmes, our train leaves in 30 minutes. "All right," said Holmes. He looked at me. "Watson, let's get ready. We are going to the north with Dr. Huxtable. Maybe we can find some answers to this mystery." Chapter 3. The Journey North. It was dark when we arrived at Dr. Huxtable's famous school. We quickly went inside to escape the cold. A man ran up to Dr. Huxtable with a message. He looked very surprised. "The Duke is here," he told us. "The Duke and Mr. Wilder, his secretary, are in my office. Please come and meet them." The government minister was a tall man with a thin face, red hair, and a large red beard. He looked at us without smiling. Next to him was Mr. Wilder, a small young man with watchful blue eyes. He spoke first. "The Duke is surprised to see Mr. Sherlock Holmes here, Dr. Huxtable. He does not want other people to know about this situation. Why didn't you speak to the Duke before you went to London?" "But we need help," said Dr. Huxtable, "and I—" "Well," said the Duke, "Mr. Holmes is here now. Maybe he can help us." He looked at Holmes. "I would like you to stay at my home, Holderness Hall, Mr. Holmes." "Thank you, sir," said Holmes, "but I prefer to stay here at the school, close to the mystery. May I ask you a few questions?" "Of course," said the Duke. "My questions are about the Duchess and about money," said Holmes. "The Duchess knows nothing about this," said the Duke, "and no one has asked me for money." "I see," said Holmes. "You wrote a letter to your son before he disappeared. When did you send it?" "Send it?" said Mr. Wilder angrily. "The Duke does not post his own letters. I put the letter in the post-bag with all the others that day." A few minutes later, the Duke and Mr. Wilder left. Holmes immediately started to work. We searched the boy's bedroom and the German teacher's room. We looked at the ivy on the wall and the footprints below the teacher's window, but we learned nothing new. Holmes then left the house and did not return until after 11 o'clock. He had a large map with him. He brought it into my room and put it on the bed. "This case is becoming interesting, Watson," he said. "Look at this map. Here is the school, and here is the road. Did the boy and the teacher use the road when they left?" "No, Watson, they did not." "How do you know that, Holmes?" I asked. "Because a policeman was standing right here," he said, pointing to the map. "He was on duty from midnight until 6 in the morning, and he saw no one on the road. And over here is the White Horse Inn. A woman in the inn was sick, and her family watched the road all night for the doctor. They saw no one. So, the boy and the teacher did not use the road. But Holmes, what about the bicycle? I asked. Yes, Watson, we must remember the bicycle. But first, let's look at the area. To the south is a large river. To the north is a forest called Ragged Shore, and beyond that is a large open area of land called the Lower Gill Moor. Holderness Hall is 16 kilometres from the school by road, but only 9 kilometres across the moor. There are no other houses until you reach the Green Man Inn on the Chesterfield Road. But the bicycle? I said again. Yes, yes, Watson, Holmes said. It is possible to ride a bicycle across the moor. It would be difficult, but possible. Just then, Dr. Huxtable rushed into the room. News, Mr. Holmes, he said excitedly. He was holding a blue school hat. Look, this is the boy's hat. One of my gardeners found it this evening. Where did he find it? Asked Holmes. Just north of Ragged Shore, said Dr. Huxtable. Aha, said Holmes. What did I tell you, Watson? Tomorrow we will walk north across the moor. Chapter 4. The Body on the Moor. The next morning I woke up and saw Holmes standing by my bed. He was already dressed. Come on, Watson, he said. There is hot coffee waiting for you. We are leaving in 10 minutes. By 6 o'clock we were on the Lower Gill Moor. A small river ran through the middle of the moor, and the ground around it was very wet and muddy. We can easily see tracks in this wet ground, said Holmes. Look carefully, Watson. We walked slowly across the moor, looking closely at the mud. We found hundreds of sheep tracks and some cow tracks, but no bicycle tracks. Then, finally, we found something. In a patch of black mud, we saw the track of a bicycle. Hurrah! I shouted. We've found it! But Holmes did not seem happy. It's a bicycle, yes, but not the right one. Every bicycle has different tires. I know 42 different types. This is a Dunlop tire, but Heidegger's bicycle had Palmer tires, the English teacher told me. So this track was not made by Heidegger. Was it the boy's then? I asked. Probably not. The boy didn't have a bicycle, said Holmes. He looked at the track again. This bicycle was travelling away from the school. Or maybe towards the school, I suggested. No, my dear Watson. Look at the 2 tire tracks. Are they the same depth? No, I said. One track is deeper than the other. And that is the back wheel, said Holmes, because the rider's weight is over the back wheel. The deeper track is on top, which tells us the direction. This bicycle was going away from the school, but who was the rider? We followed the Dunlop track for a while, but then we lost it among some cow tracks. Holmes sat down and thought for a few minutes. No, he said, standing up, we must leave this for now. Let's go back to the mud by the river, Watson. 2 hours later, Holmes gave a happy cry. I ran to him and looked down. In the mud there was a long, thin track. It was a Palmer tire. Here is Heidegger, cried Holmes. Let's follow him, Watson. We followed the Palmer tire track north across the moor. We often lost the track and had to find it again. Suddenly, the track stopped. "What happened here?" I said. "Did he fall?" Holmes looked at the ground. Then he walked to some small bushes with yellow flowers. "Look," he said quietly. On one of the yellow flowers there was a dark red mark. It was blood. "This is bad," said Holmes, "very bad. What happened here?" "Someone hit him. He fell, then he stood up, got on his bicycle and rode away. But there are no other tracks, just some cow tracks. We must follow the blood, Watson." We soon found the bicycle. Behind a bush we saw a shoe, and then we found a body. There was blood on the man's head. He was dead. He was wearing shoes but no socks, and a nightshirt under his open coat. It was the German teacher. "Poor man," Holmes said quietly. "What should we do, Watson? We can't waste time, but we must tell someone about this." "Should I run back to the school?" I asked. "No, I need you with me." Holmes stood and looked around. "Look, there's a man working over there. He can take a message to the school for us." I went to get the man, and Holmes wrote a note for Dr. Huxtable. The workman took one look at the body and ran quickly towards the school. "Now," said Holmes, "let's think. The boy left on his own. He was dressed and ready to go. But the German teacher left suddenly, without his shirt or socks." "That's right," I said. "And why did Heidegger leave? He must have seen the boy from his window and wanted to follow him. So far, so good. But why did he take his bicycle? A man can run faster than a boy." "Ah," I said, "because the boy also had a bicycle." "Not so fast, Watson. Think about it. Heidegger dies 8 kilometers from the school. This means the boy was moving very fast, because it took a man on a bicycle 8 kilometers to catch him. And Heidegger died because someone hit him hard on the head. A boy can't do that." So there was a man with the boy. But we looked carefully at the mud around Heidegger's body. We only found cow tracks. No human footprints, no other bicycle tracks. "Holmes," I cried, "this is impossible." "Very good, Watson," he said. "It seems impossible, which means my thinking is wrong somewhere. What could it be?" "Maybe," I said, "Heidegger hit his head when he fell." "In soft mud, Watson?" "Oh, I don't know." "Come on, Watson," said Holmes. "Every mystery has an answer. But for now, the Palmer tire can't tell us more. We must go back to the Dunlop tire." We found the Dunlop track again and followed it north. Soon we lost the track. We could see Holderness Hall a few kilometers to our left. In front of us we could see the Chesterfield Road and the Green Man Inn. We walked towards the inn. Chapter 5. A Visit to the Green Man Inn. As we got close to the inn, Holmes suddenly shouted, "Ah, my foot! I can't walk on it. Help me, Watson." I put his arm around my shoulder, and we walked slowly to the door of the inn. A man was standing there, smoking. "How are you, Mr. Reuben Hayes?" said Holmes. "Who are you, and how do you know my name?" the man said in an unfriendly voice. "It's written on the sign above your head," said Holmes. "But can you help me, Mr. Hayes?" "No, I can't." "But I need help. I cannot put my foot on the ground." "Then don't put it on the ground," the man replied. Holmes smiled. "Look, this is very important. I will give you £1 to use a bicycle." "Where do you want to go?" asked Mr. Hayes. "To Holderness Hall." "Oh, you're friends of the Duke, are you?" Mr. Hayes laughed, looking at our muddy clothes. "Well, we have news about his lost son," Holmes said. "The boy is in Liverpool." Mr. Hayes's face turned white, then red. "Oh," he said slowly, "that's good news. I used to work for the Duke, but he was not a good boss. I don't like him, but I'm happy for the boy." We went inside the inn. "Now," said Holmes, "we need something to eat first. Then you can get the bicycle for us." "I don't have a bicycle," said Mr. Hayes. Holmes put £1 on the table. "I told you I don't have a bicycle. I can give you 2 horses to take you to the hall." He brought us some food. While we ate, we could see the stables behind the inn. Holmes got up and walked around the room. He stood at the window and looked at the stables. His foot seemed much better. Suddenly he laughed. "I've got it," he cried. "Watson, did you see any cow tracks today?" "Yes," I said. "Lots of them, everywhere." "And how many cows did you see on the moor?" "I don't remember seeing any," I said. "Isn't that strange, Watson? Lots of cow tracks, but no cows. And do you remember what the tracks looked like?" He opened his notebook. The tracks were strange. Sometimes they were side by side, like a horse walking slowly. Other times, one track was in front of the other, like a horse running. Cows don't move like that. Now, let's go quietly and look at those stables. There were 2 tired horses in the stables. Holmes looked at one of the horse's feet and laughed. "Look, Watson, the horseshoes are old, but the nails are new. This case gets more and more interesting." I started to ask a question, but then we heard someone behind us. It was Mr. Reuben Hayes. His face was red and angry. "What are you doing in my stables?" he shouted. "We are just looking at your horses, Mr. Hayes," said Holmes, smiling. "Why? Are you afraid of something?" The man's face was still angry, but he didn't speak. "I think your horses are too tired," Holmes said. "We can walk to the hall. It's not far." 3 kilometers by the road," Mr. Hayes said, watching us with angry eyes. It was almost dark when we left. We walked along the road for a minute. Then Holmes grabbed my arm. "Quick, Watson, let's get off the road and go up the hill. We can watch the back of the inn from there." We ran up the hill. "This man Hayes knows about the kidnapping, doesn't he?" "Of course," he said. "Ah, who is that? Watson, get down." A bicycle was coming down the road very fast. We saw the rider. It was Mr. James Wilder, the Duke's secretary. He looked pale and scared. "Quick, Watson," said Holmes. "We have to watch him." We ran down the hill until we could see the back door of the inn. Wilder's bicycle was next to the wall. For 5 minutes nothing happened. Then a man on a horse rode quickly out of the stables and down the road. "What do you think of that, Watson?" said Holmes. "Someone is running away." "Yes, but not James Wilder, because he is still at the door. We could see Wilder in the light from the doorway. He stood there looking out. 10 minutes later, another man walked up the road and went into the inn. A light turned on in an upstairs room. "Come, Watson, we must get closer," Holmes said. We walked quietly to the back of the inn. The bicycle was still there. Holmes looked at the wheel and laughed quietly. "A Dunlop tire, Watson. Now I need to look through that upstairs window. I need to stand on your back." I helped Holmes, and he looked into the window for just a second. Then he jumped down. "Come, my friend," he said. "It's a long walk back to the school. I can tell you all the answers to this mystery tomorrow." It was a long, cold walk back. I was very tired and went straight to bed. But Holmes went out again, probably to the town of Mackleton. Chapter 6. Sherlock Holmes and the Duke. The next morning at 11 o'clock, Holmes and I were in the Duke's office at Holderness Hall. Mr. Wilder met us. "The Duke cannot see anyone today," he told Holmes. Holmes looked at him coldly. "The Duke can see me," he said. "Please tell him I am here." After 30 minutes, the Duke of Holderness entered the room. He looked older and very tired. "Well, Mr. Holmes," he said. Holmes looked at James Wilder. "I can speak more openly if your secretary is not here, sir." "Very well," said the Duke tiredly. "Please leave us, James." James Wilder gave Holmes an angry look and left the room. Holmes looked at the Duke. "I hear you are offering £5,000 for news of your son." "That is true." "And another £1,000 for the name of the kidnapper." "True." My friend smiled. "I see your cheque-book on the table, sir. I would like a cheque for £6,000. "Mr. Sherlock Holmes," the Duke said angrily, "what is this about? Do you have news of my son or not?" "Oh, yes," said Holmes. The Duke stared at Holmes's face. "Where is my son?" he asked quietly. "He is, or he was last night, at the Green Man Inn, 3 kilometres from here." The Duke fell back into his chair. "And the name of the kidnapper?" Sherlock Holmes's answer was very surprising. "You," he said. "And now, sir, your cheque, please." The Duke stood up, his face white with anger. Then he sat down again and put his face in his hands. He was silent for a few minutes. "How much do you know?" he asked. "I saw you with him last night," said Holmes. "And who else knows about this?" "Only myself and my friend, Dr. Watson." The Duke took out a pen and opened his cheque-book. "When I made this offer—" He stopped, then started again. "Are you and your friend going to talk about this, Mr. Holmes?" "I don't understand you, sir," said Holmes. "I mean, no one needs to know about this little family problem. It can be our secret. Look, here is a cheque for £12,000. Holmes gave him a cold smile. "I'm sorry, sir. A man is dead in this case. Do you remember?" "But James knew nothing about that," cried the Duke. "He was extremely upset when he heard about the killing." "The murder," said Holmes. "But James wasn't there. When he heard about it, he came to me immediately and told me everything. Oh, Mr. Holmes, you must help him. He is not the murderer. The murderer escaped last night." Holmes smiled again. "I have more news for you, sir. The police caught Mr. Reuben Hayes at Chesterfield Station last night. Mr. Hayes will not be running anywhere for a very long time." The Duke stared at Holmes with his mouth open. You know everything," he said. "But I am glad to hear about Hayes. He was always a bad man, and that news will help James." "James, your secretary?" said Holmes. "No, sir, my son. James Wilder is my son." Chapter 7. The Duke's Other Son. I was very surprised when the Duke said this, and for once Holmes was surprised too. "This is new information for me," he said. "Can you tell me more?" The Duke stood up and walked around the room. "I must tell you everything," he said. "I see that now." He sat down and began his story. "When I was a young man, Mr. Holmes, I was deeply in love. The woman I loved was my whole world. I wanted to marry her, but she died. Before she died, she gave me a child, James. I loved him so much because he reminded me of her. I needed to have the boy near me. But because of my important job, I could not tell the world that I had a child who was not from my marriage. So to everyone, James is my young secretary, not my son. He knows that I am his father. He hates the Duchess because she is not his mother. And he hates my younger son, Arthur, because Arthur has everything: a famous name, a title, houses, and money. James has nothing. He wants to be the next Duke of Holderness, but that's impossible. So I was afraid for Arthur's safety, and that's why I sent him to Dr. Huxtable's school. Then James did this terrible thing. He kidnapped Arthur. He wanted me to choose him as my first son and give him everything. But of course I cannot do that. James knew the man Hayes because Hayes used to work for me. James asked for his help. You remember my letter to Arthur. James opened it and put a secret note inside. That evening he cycled across the moor and met Arthur in the forest. He told Arthur that his mother, the Duchess, wanted to see him and was waiting on the moor. Of course, Arthur wanted to see his mother, so he came back at midnight. Hayes was there with 2 horses, and they rode across the moor. But the German teacher followed them, and Hayes killed him. Then Hayes took Arthur to the Green Man Inn. I didn't know about any of this until the murder. James is not a good person, but he is not a murderer. When he heard the news, he came to me crying. What could I do? I didn't want the world to know our family secret. So James went to the Green Man Inn and told Hayes to run away. After Hayes left, I went to the inn and saw Arthur. I left him there with Mrs. Hayes because I didn't know how to explain the situation to the police. So, said Holmes, you helped a murderer escape. You said nothing to the police, and you left your young son in that terrible inn. And now you ask for my help. The Duke's face turned red, but he said nothing. First, said Holmes, we must bring Arthur home. Yes, the Duke said quietly. Holmes wrote a quick note and left the room. He returned a minute later. Now, what are you going to do about Mr. James Wilder? He asked. I understand, Mr. Holmes, said the Duke. James is leaving for Australia next week. Good, said Holmes. And the Duchess, now that James is gone, maybe you and she— Yes, I wrote to the Duchess this morning. Holmes stood up. Well, Watson and I can go home now. There is just one more small question. Hayes used 2 horses, but their tracks in the mud looked like cow tracks. How was that possible? The Duke looked surprised. He left the room and came back with a glass box. Inside the box were some old horseshoes. We found these in the garden, the Duke said. They are about 500 years old. Holmes opened the box and took out one shoe. It was a special horseshoe. It was shaped to look like a cow's foot, so the horse's tracks in the mud would look like cow tracks. Holmes ran his finger along the bottom of the shoe and a little mud came off. Thank you, said Holmes. He put the horseshoe back in its box. That horseshoe is the second most interesting thing in the north of England, he said. And what is the first? Asked the Duke. Holmes took the cheque for £12,000 from the table and slowly put it into his notebook. I am a poor man, he said. He looked at the notebook, then put it carefully in his pocket.
Hey there! Just a second before you go. If you learned something new today, please give this video a like, write your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel. It only takes a second, and it really, really helps to create even better English videos for you. Your support means the world. Thank you.